Hey everybody, my name is MetalMusicMan.
And I am Professor Lex.
And this is episode 14 of the Metal and Lex podcast. It's no longer weird to say large numbers. I'm just like used to it now.
Yeah. 300. This is episode 300.
Yeah,
we're
this
there.
is it.
We did it.
This
is nothing. This is just dirt off my shoulder, and we're in there.
We're basically professionals.
Yeah. Except that we don't quite do this for a living yet.
Yeah, that we do have that one thing in our way.
Yeah,
Unfortunate that I hadn't accounted for that. So yeah, what have you been up to, man? How's your week been?
Dude, it's fucking COVID still. They reopened City Hall so people can come in and stand around and take up space. So that's my life has been changed. Every day when I go to work, people shoot me dirty looks like I'm skipping the line. And I guess I am, in a way. Because I'm not going to stand there in line. Because
you can go in because you work there?
Yeah, but they don't know that, and I don't sit there and explain. Hi, my name is Alex. I work inside a city. This is my badge, and you see, I'm not really cutting per se. I am going to get my thermometer reading before you do, but
I had a similar experience, but on the opposite end because I live in St. Charles, and that was that I went out to lunch today for the first time in like a million years at work, and I wore my mask, and no one else was wearing their mask, and everybody looked at me like I was weird. And then as if to key in on the ridiculousness of it, the guy behind the counter had a mask on, but he had it like under his chin. And when when he saw that I was wearing a mask, he pulled his mask up.
Good for you. You shamed him into being responsible.
But like, why even have it if you're just gonna wear it like?
Because you're supposed to wear a mask.
Yeah.
If you're working in like food service, you're supposed to wear a mask.
So anyway, I have COVID, and that's pretty cool.
But you also had lunch.
So see, I got mahi tacos and a strawberry shake, so it's totally worth it. Totally worth it.
I very nearly got mahi tacos from Fuzzy Tacos yesterday.
Oh yeah, and then
They've got a burrito and they're close-ish to me.
Fuzzy's very solid in between actual restaurant and fast food. It's not quite fast food. Yes. It's not quite a restaurant. It's somewhere in between, and it's solid. Yeah. It's very Americanized, but there's nothing wrong. Sometimes you want an Americanized taco.
I like Tex-Mex. Yeah. I did my best impression of authentic Mexican taco today, but even then, like I made my own tortilla, but then I just dumped whatever was in my refrigerator onto my plate.
Well, that's
I'm happier for it.
It's a tortilla's job.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it is a vessel.
Yeah, it's a vessel for whatever you want to put in it. So this week we're gonna do some Q&A. We put out some feelers on Twitter, and this was supposed to be what did you say? Ask
Dear
Abby. Yeah, it was supposed to be a Dear Abby or an advice column. Yeah. And a couple of people did do that, but then a couple of people just asked like random questions. So I guess we'll just call this a Q&A / advice column episode. Not that we're qualified to answer any questions or give any advice.
No, that is our qualification.
Yes, that is hopefully what makes it interesting.
You know what you're getting into.
So as usual, Twitter makes no sense, and it lays out the questions not in chronological order,
but in an order.
And not even in order of which ones are liked the most.
Most liked, yeah.
It's just a random order that makes no sense. So I'm going to start at the bottom of this random order, and that's the order I'm going to go in because shit doesn't make any sense. So, and this is a good one to start off with. Boat asks at boat_STL, how was y'all day? Well, my day was a day. I worked. What's up?
Yeah. No, you go ahead. You first.
I worked. I formatted a bunch of laptops, and I forgot that I needed to format a bunch of laptops, and so I only have 2 flash drives with Windows 10 on them. So I formatted 30 laptops with 2 flash drives. So I ordered 10 flash drives today because I forgot I didn't have that many, and hopefully they come in soon. But yeah, I basically picked my ass and did that, and then I got, within the first 30 seconds of being at work today, I got I'm not trying to be racist, but ...
No.
And I was I had not even sipped my coffee, and I was just like, okay.
Well, then you can do a spit take.
Yeah, it was pretty great. So yeah, a pretty standard day for me working in St. Charles.
Can I ask what the "I'm not racist but" was?
To be honest with you, hang on, I got to think because it was in.
You can't remember. There's so many. They all run together.
No, it wasn't particularly bad after it. I was bracing for it to be. You know what I mean? What the hell? Mm-hmm. What the hell was it? It was something about the fucking. It was the fucking protests and some shit. That was how it came up, but I don't remember. I don't remember what the hell they said. Anyway, it wasn't racist enough for me to remember it.
Good.
It was just generically racist in the way that, people at my work often are, which is to say, not really racist, but kind of racist, but kind of
not hateful racist.
But they don't really, they're old, and they live in St. Charles. So yeah, you
need that exposure.
Yeah, sorry to the movement. I can't affect that change. I am but a droplet of water.
Not gonna be that guy.
I am but a droplet of water in the pond of ineffable St. Charlesness.
Nancy,
yeah.
You can't just say the blacks.
I did check them on their anti-Asian racism one time.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I did check that pretty hard, but it was a lot more overt. I wish I could remember, but it couldn't have been that bad because I just remember bracing for it to be really racist, and then it was like kind of just vaguely whatever.
I tell you, the Mexicans, they speak a different dialect of Spanish than the people in Spain.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there was a time somebody at my work said some shit about not wanting to eat Chinese food because like cat and dog meat, and I was like, fucking what? I checked that shit right away. I was immediately just like, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, and this is way too racist for me. Y'all need to check your shit. And everyone just looked at me and didn't say anything, and then like talked about cookies. And I was just like, all right, have a nice day, motherfuckers. Like,
close enough.
Yeah, they mean well until they don't, and then
until they say something about Chinese food.
Yeah, like most of the time, like that's my excuse, I guess, is like most of the time it's just dumb, ignorant, rural people saying generic, ignorant things that aren't that bad. And then I think that's the worst one though I've ever heard. I've never had anybody just be like, I don't hate black people, but I sure do hate black people. Like I've never had anything like that. It's always been like that weird far removed thing, but I don't know. Anyway, they're old. I don't know how to deal. So how was your day, sir?
My day was fine. It was a slow day at work. This is the busy week, but only on Monday and Wednesday. Every other day of the week is pretty slow. So I didn't do too much. I did spend, my parents are trying to organize a Friday night dinner next Friday. But they were talking about maintaining safe social distance, and everyone needs a 6-foot radius, right? And so they said, I don't know, there's like 11 of us. Are we all going to be able to have 6 feet radii in your backyard? And I was like, well, and Dad, because he's Dad, posted the dimensions of the backyard. He's like 50 by 100 feet. And I was like, well, if everyone needs a 6-foot radius, that's 133 square feet. And we've got 5,000 square feet in the backyard. So you can fit 44 people in the backyard. But that...
the math of this is amazing.
It checks out. I did the math. But that's just in terms of raw square footage. So that means that, you imagine, if you will, that a backyard is a giant roll of biscuit dough. And each person, their radius is like a biscuit that you're cutting out. You could stamp the people in there all of those times, and then you'd scoop up all of the little in-between bits, right?
Sure.
And then you'd re-roll that and stamp it again. You can't do that in real life. So the math equation is a little bit different. You can fit a maximum of 8 people across the long way and then 4 people across the short way, which means that you could only fit 32 people in.
But anyway. Man, you put way too much thought into that.
So I did. Like I said, it was slow.
So then the dinner will go on then. It will.
Yeah, we're good. We could have almost 3 of us at a time.
Wow.
So I did that, and I haven't
done family dinner stuff, so I'm a little jealous.
I'll drag you out.
Getting back in. All right.
You'll have fun. The other thing I spent way too much time doing today was yesterday was the Sony PlayStation conference, and I have been just nonstop looking at theories and shit on the new Resident Evil 8. I'm incredibly excited. You probably can't tell from my facial expression or my tone, but I'm vibrating in place.
I'm so infinitely aroused.
Dude, you don't even know.
I
can't
contain it.
Chris.
Ooh, ah. Ooh, ah.
Chris is back in this one. I've been real hurt because Wesker's been dead for God knows how many Resident Evil games.
I don't know shit about Resident Evil. I only know both of those names because of Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That's literally the only reason I even know who Wesker is.
Do you know Nemesis?
Again, from Marvel vs. Capcom.
Okay. But yeah,
that's the only reason I know any of them.
Jill?
Yeah. Again.
Okay.
Marvel vs. Capcom.
Okay, well that's all of them.
Okay.
So I'm out. Yeah, Chris is like he was the hero in 1, and he shows up in Code Veronica, and he's a character, one of the main characters in 5 and 6. So he's like a serious staple. What's weird is every time they bring him back, there's usually been like a console shift, so they do a redesign of him. So he went from being like a sort of dweeby kind of muscly guy to being like roid ragey to being like...
he was like randomly ripped, I remember, in one of the games, and wasn't in the others.
5 and 6.
I remember that specifically.
Well, in 7, they made him like dweeby-ish again, a muscular dweeb. And then like now that we're in Resident Evil 8, he's just like a thick fucking oil barrel of muscle and trench coat and gun.
All right.
And he looks mean. And so I'm hoping he's Wesker because Wesker's dead, like I said. So if he were Wesker,
you're hoping he's Wesker?
Yep, you heard me.
I don't even know.
Wesker is the bad guy in most of the Resident Evil games, but not all.
Yeah, but he's not a single entity of a human. People become the Wesker, or did you mean that non-literally and metaphorically?
Was it literally?
Okay, I thought maybe people became Wesker, like maybe Wesker was a title.
That's what I'm hoping for. No. There's one guy, Albert Wesker.
Okay,
he's dead. He died in a volcano.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go.
Yeah, and this whole time for I guess 3 Resident Evils now, I've been telling myself he's not dead. A volcano, it just being swallowed up by lava, that doesn't kill a man. That doesn't stop you from being, it may or may not have. I'm hoping that I hope that the good guy is now Wesker. I hope that somehow Wesker like planted himself in him. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
All right.
That's what you came here for, right? Was that you put out feelers asking if we had any Resident Evil 8 speculation? There's vampires and werewolves in this one.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's snowy outside. Anyway.
Well, that'll help you with the volcano at least.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe he's just been taking some time to cool off.
So
got a little hot-headed.
Pretty standard days from both of us.
Straightforward.
And so thank you at boat_STL. We'll go on to the next one from HowU at HOWU_STL. Another local 11-year-old Smash player. Who says, what is your favorite Donkey Kong game? Well,
you have one?
No, he's literally only asking me this to meme me for Donkey Kong, but I'll answer.
Well, sure, yeah.
I don't think I've played any Donkey Kong game other than the original Donkey Kong Country on Super Nintendo. I think I might have played one of the sequels to it for like 5 seconds, but I didn't put any time into it. But I played a fair amount of Donkey Kong Country, and it was a fun game. It was a decent enough platform. I remember thinking the graphics were all weird and crazy because it was like, I don't know how they did it. They like captured 3D and then turned them into sprites or something.
Yeah.
It was like some
gross and weird.
Yeah, it was strange. But yeah, I guess that's the only one that I could say because that's the only one I've ever put any time into. It's Donkey Kong Country.
I have memories of playing a Donkey Kong game that I think was a Donkey Kong Country on the Game Boy, the regular Game Boy. I can't
like
tell you which
something they might
one
have ported. So yeah, that would
surprise me. I played that at like Latchkey or whatever when it was like a summer your parents go to work and you have to be taken care of location.
Yep.
And one of the
that
people
is
I made
what
friends
Latchkey
with
is. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was
Not
also
everyone knows Latchkey.
I was
you
also
were
a Latchkey kid. Yeah.
Of course you were.
My mom had to do work things, and I guess my dad did too. It was, when was it? It was, we were in like a rental house and our shit was fucked for like a while. Like, cause everything was, we were like in an in-between house or some shit trying to like move around what the hell's going on. It was just after we left North County because of all the black people.
Oh, sure. White
so flight. I got scooped up in White Flight along with most other white people, or well, I guess, my parents did anyway. And so then we moved to actually really close to where I'm at now. And the St. Charles City School District had like a latchkey program that I was in. But I want to say I did latchkey before that I went to Townsend Elementary in Florissant. Until like first grade, I think. I want to say I did some latchkey there. Anyway, you're in latchkey.
I was in Latchkey. Played Donkey Kong. That's the only Donkey Kong game. It's my simultaneous favorite and least favorite Donkey Kong game. Unless we count like Mario Party. My little brother always picks Donkey Kong.
No,
and
that
Mario
doesn't
Party.
count. He said Donkey Kong game, so I feel like
then
that means
Donkey Kong
titular.
Country.
Yeah, titular. So we both have basically the same one. You just had the shitty port, and I had the shitty SNES version. So thank you at howyou_STL. So after these two, just lovely questions,
generic fun. Yeah,
we're gonna go right into Tiger Boy's question, which is at I'm killing you. How many times have you said the hard R? So what a timely question. So I'm gonna preface this with some background information, and if I misinterpret any of this, at I'm killing you /Tiger Boy. Let me know, but I'm pretty sure his stance on this specifically is let white people say the N-word. I'm pretty sure I have read tweets from him that say that. That is, I think, his actual stance, and he is not trolling. So this is where I get canceled. So here we go. Is everyone ready for me to get canceled?
Oh no. Oh God.
Okay. So you
don't have to do it.
I don't have to.
Good.
So I actually do agree with that sentiment about all words, to be perfectly honest, but I simultaneously have no interest in ever getting a hard R card. Like we've talked about this before, you and I. Like I think on the way to Combo Breaker, I have no interest. Like some people are like, "Oh, I am a white guy named." Okay, for some reason, the first white guy name that came into mind was Terrence, and that is not a thing.
I
don't know why
Terrence Howard.
I don't know why that was the first white guy name that came into mind, but yeah, we'll say Kevin. I'm a white guy named Kevin, and I just want my hard R pass so bad. Like I don't understand that train of thought. I don't get it at all.
Because it's forbidden, and you want it, right? Because it's forbidden. You shouldn't do it, and that's why it's so dirty and wrong, and that's why it feels so good, right? I don't know. I'm black.
Maybe.
So. This is just me postulating.
Maybe I don't know. I don't get it. So at any rate, I don't know how many times I've said a hard R. It's not many times, but it's also not that many times, and always in the context of talking about the word. So I don't. I don't use it. Like if we have this conversation long enough, I will say it on this podcast and get canceled because I find the phrase, literally the phrase,
quote,
and N-word to be obnoxious. And I hate specifically, and in fact, I would say the most times that I've done it is when I'm in a group of people that's predominantly white people, and they start jokingly being like, oh man, like something N-word. And I don't mean they're saying it. I mean, they're saying quote. N-word. And every time they say quote N-word, it's like they're putting that word,
the word in your head.
So at a certain point, I just say it and everyone's like, whoa. And I'm like, yeah, are we going to keep doing this or not? Shut the fuck up. And that's what I thought. It was fucking uncomfortable when you were doing it a minute ago too.
When you're doing it without doing it.
Yeah. Like fuck that. So, but no, like if we're going to postulate about words, I think for me, if I can not cancel myself as hard and give an analogy that is not. Well, no, I'm gonna dip my toe in the cancel pool here. But like for me, it's the same as so like there's other hateful words that aren't as bad and I can't relate to because I'm a white guy and blah 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 blah. But I got called faggot a lot in middle school, and I don't like saying that anymore either. And I generally try not to.
Sure.
But I think there are some people who use even words they shouldn't because they've been in like situations where it was commonplace. And I don't know that I agree personally with the idea that like there is never a good context ever for blah word, because I just think inherently all words are contextual and everyone knows. It's kind of like how you can say it without saying it. Like in the last episode, when you were like, the cop pulled me over and said, watch those stop signs, ... boy.
Boy. Yeah.
It really doesn't matter what the word is. It really only matters the context of how it's used. That being said, 9 times out of 10 or more, there is no reason for me to say it. And more than 9 times out of 10, I don't.
The 10th time is when you're discussing the merits or lack thereof of using the aforementioned word.
Pretty much, yeah. And I've had a couple friends, both white, brown, whatever, who have kind of like colloquially been, well, I guess it's more, it's not really hard R ever, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I've never had anyone say a hard R to me and try to like play it off. Do you know what I mean? It's always been like an actual racist person.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've never had someone call me hard R as a joke.
I was trying to like think about it, and I was like, well, wait a minute, no, that's not really a thing. It's always, it's pretty much always that. Yeah. So anyway, let's let Lex talk now.
Being as I am black, I don't feel that I have to defend the amount of times that I say the N-word. That said, I don't, because it just doesn't come up. We're talking hard R.
Hard R, I think specifically is his question.
Specifically, I've probably only ever said it to relay to somebody else that I have been called it or that someone has said it. And there's this one time I got really mad at Kanye, and I was using, we'll say, colorful language to describe my disappointment. But when he lost his fucking mind 3 years ago.
Which time?
The
time with Mike Myers? The time with Mike Myers for George W. Bush? Or the Trump time?
No. Trump time.
Okay.
When he lost his mind, George Bush doesn't care about black people. He was like, right.
Well, he was right, but the way he did it was the most. It was no, not even that you're not supposed to say it. It was the most awkward interaction I've ever seen between two human beings. Like, I feel like there's definitely a way. There's like a snapshot in another multiverse where Kanye basically said the same thing. And Mike Myers didn't look as weird as he did, and it wasn't. But like just the way he was, you could just tell the way he said it. It was so unprepared and off the cuff, and he was like stumbling with his own. Like if he had said all the exact same words, but had like already known he was going to say them, it would have like flowed naturally, and not been. Anyway, I always just like that is like jarring. The most awkward thing I've ever witnessed. Like it was so.
It's ridiculous. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. When I was complaining about Kanye, I was saying that. He wishes that he had been kept in the house is the sentiment I was trying to explain to my dad, who is also black.
Sorry, what? I don't understand that reference at all. Kanye wishes he had been kept in the house?
Kept in the slave master's house.
I've never heard that phrase before. I'm very white. So I have no idea what you're saying. So I understand now that you explained it. But
house N-word.
Yeah. Sorry?
House.
Yes.
N-word.
Like the fucking like Samuel Jackson and fucking Django. Yes. Okay, yeah. Okay, I got you. What's the other word for that? Uncle Tom?
Well, yes, Uncle Tom is the from Uncle Tom's Cabin.
I've never heard he wishes he had been kept in the house before. That's why I was confused.
It's got a slightly different context because Uncle Tom was a specific character, and then you say Uncle Tom to refer to a particular archetype in an extremely cruel, mean way.
All Uncle Toms are squares, but not all rectangles are Uncle Toms.
So the other if you were house kept, it's because you could almost pass in polite society. Like you wouldn't have your dark slaves in the house. You would have someone about my complexion.
Is that a thing? Or I thought it was just that they would have like the manners, quote unquote.
Yeah, no, it's both. Because if you were like fair skinned enough, then you were fair skinned enough to be taught how to behave.
Mm.
Yeah, you don't really care about someone who's just digging ditches or whatever.
Yeah. All right. One point I would like to bring up while we're on the subject of racisms and races and words that I find interesting is I have heard you specifically on this podcast more than I have, I think, ever when we've personally talked about these kinds of topics. I've heard you refer to yourself strictly as black so much more recently.
Okay.
And I was just curious if that's like just because of the topic at hand, or if that is something that you...
If I'm to describe myself, if you ask me what ethnicity I am, like specifically,
if I drilled it down and put you in the corner,
I would tell you, I am half black. I would say quote half black. When I say I am black, and I don't feel like defending the fact that I say that I can say the N-word, it's not to the exclusion of me also being white. If that makes sense. I am black, I am white, I am both. It's an additive process.
Yeah.
I only mentioned the black part because that's what's relevant at the time. I do not identify exclusively as a black individual. Though I am black, I am also white.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
No, it does. I was just kind of curious about the context of it, because I do think it's one of those things that I assume, not being biracial myself, I have no idea, but like I assume it's harder for you in any context to do the flip side, right? Just because of the racistness of things, to be like I am white, and then people are like, wait a minute, no, you're not. But like if you, but like I assume anyway, if you say like I'm black, that probably is, because that's the whole thing, right? Is like however much percentage you have, once you're over, whatever fucking arbitrary racist percentage is noticeable 16th. Or perceptible. Yeah, exactly. Then suddenly you're just not white anymore. So at any rate, I didn't really have anywhere to go with that, but it was something that when you did it now, I think you've done it once or twice again on the podcast, and I don't think I've ever heard you refer to yourself specifically as that in that instance. So I was curious if
black or biracial.
As black, you've almost always said you were biracial, or that, maybe you've contextually been like, something. I'm a black guy or whatever, but it hasn't been. So anyway, I don't know. While we were on the race topic, that was an observation that I had.
That's fine.
Thanks, Tiger Boy. All right.
The next one about butts.
All right. Yeah, I thought, to be honest with you, let's not jump off that train just yet, because a funny, humorous existence is that I had thought doing this topic, I was like, well, we solved all racism last episode. So we're just going to have a nice fun chat about what our week's been like in video games. And the fucking, my Twitter notifications come up and it's like, how many times have you said hard R? And I was like, oh God, am I being interrogated by, like, what is this? So anyway, that's pretty funny. All right. So the next question is from Cathrarg at Cathrarg.
I'd like to just point out your notifications are all the opposite of mine. Just the exact opposite order.
So I don't understand.
The first shall be last and the last shall be first.
Well, okay. Sorry. I am going from the bottom up. If I didn't make that clear. Yeah.
No, you didn't. Up. Okay, so we're in the same order so far. That's interesting.
So the reason I started at the bottom is that I assumed that they would be chronological, but they're not. So
you fool. No.
Anyway, so Cathrarg asks, are fighting games that fight? Sorry. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Hang on.
Yep.
Are fighting games that fight, or fights that game fight game fight game fight? So I'm just gonna answer this the best I can assume, which is that fighting games are games that fight. I think.
I was gonna say no.
You don't think so?
You fight fighting games.
You fight the game itself?
Well, yeah, and other people.
So the games don't fight, though.
The game itself, no.
I'm going to disagree with that and contextually overanalyze everything and say that the games themselves do fight, because the games harbor AI, which fights.
Oh shit! I didn't think
the games do
retract
fight.
my position.
If you don't press start, what happens? Right? You get a computer versus computer. Yeah, get fucked on.
And they sit there and they slug.
You weren't ready. You weren't ready.
I know when I've been beat.
Thank you, Cathrarg, at Cathrarg, for that confusing, brain-melting question that took me 3 attempts to read. Moving on upwards, we have a question from at Yamandu, at YAHMANDU. This is a nice lady who sometimes touches the butt of Hylian.
Okay.
She asks, since nobody knows, just make an announcement about Dragon Age Lamau. That's not a question. I just read it out loud. I don't know. Okay.
Read it again with a question mark at the end. Since
nobody knows, just make an announcement about Dragon Age Lamau.
There it is.
It's a question now.
You can answer that.
So I think what she's referring to is that I could be wrong, but I think what she's referring to is that she recently made some tweet about how hard Dragon Age was. Do you know anything about Dragon Age, Lex?
I have seen Jen play Dragon Age Inquisition and start the original Dragon Age and say that she hated it.
Okay, well, I'm going to get in a fist fight and beat up your girlfriend because she's a moron and deserves to die.
Wow.
So
harsh.
she needs to understand. So go ahead and just let her know as soon as you can.
I'll prepare her.
She's the wrongest person who's ever lived, because there is only one good Dragon Age game, and it is Dragon Age Origins. And every other game after Dragon Age Origins is an abomination that should not exist.
Dragon Age 2?
Terrible. That's plot,
all of them now, right?
Terrible everything. No, Dragon Age Inquisition, which is even worse than 2,
well,
to be honest.
2 and then Inquisition.
Yeah.
And Origin. Yeah, that's all.
So okay. Origin is, in my opinion, one of the best like story-based RPGs. Like it's a CRPG in heart and soul, but it is not a CRPG in terms of the presentation. And the reason for that, well, okay, I'm going to back that up. It's basically just a CRPG that's done in 3D instead of 2D isometric. So you have a 3D camera and rotation, but all of the gameplay mechanics are exactly what a CRPG is. So your Icewind Dale, your Baldur's Gate, all that. So they basically were like, hey, let's make a CRPG, but we'll make it like actual 3D rotational camera graphics because people think that's pretty. And I forget when it came out. It was mid 2000s, late 2000s, something like that. I want to say
2009.
I want to say 2008 or 9 or something. Great game, wonderful characters, wonderful story. The thing that nobody knows about CRPGs in general, and Dragon Age especially, because CRPGs tend to scare people off by the way that they look, by being like isometric 2D games. People are scared. Yeah, you still haven't fucking played Pillars, you piece of shit.
I bought it though.
Yeah, that's half the battle. But people get scared off by them just by the look. But when you see like a game that's cool in 3D and has like cinematics of like 3D models moving around, people get interested. And so what happens is people pick up Dragon Age and they don't know what a CRPG is or how it works. And basically the way every CRPG works, and if it doesn't work this way, it's not a CRPG. Fight me. You're dumb. I hate you forever. CRPGs have real-time pause gameplay. And what that means is when you go into a fight, the first thing that happens as soon as the fight starts is that you pause. And then people are always like, the game just pauses. And people are always like, how's that any different from like turn-based? Well, it's a lot different because turn-based is like your Pokemon, right?
Sure.
Real-time pause is that you are in control of when to pause, but otherwise the combat is exactly as it would be in a normal game. But because you're controlling like 6 different characters at a time, and they all have 10 different moves, and the moves have different cooldowns, or they can only use them so many times. And because you have all these enemies, and because then like enemies can stun you or knock you down, and you can do the same thing. The combat, if you were to just let it play out and like let the AI handle it, or try to control your guys in real time, you can't do it. You cannot play the game, and so because it's designed that you hit spacebar, which is pause, every 3 seconds to be like, okay, let's take a look at what's going on. Let's order this guy to throw a fireball. Let's order this guy to get out of the enemy's fireball. I'll order this guy to do a stun, and then unpause, let a couple seconds of gameplay play out, repause, do a thing. That's just how those games are. If you don't like it, you're objectively wrong and stupid, and you should die in a fire. But a lot of people don't, and they're dumb, and I'll burn them someday. But most importantly about Dragon Age specifically is because the game looks pretty and sort of doesn't look like a traditional CRPG. There are a lot of people, including my old roommate, who play it and they don't know about that. And I remember one day I was having this conversation with my roommate, and he was like, this game is so fucking hard. How the fuck did you beat the ogre in the tower? Like, it's like very early. It's like the first like mini boss you fight. And I'm like, are you just talking about the guy that like there's a big ogre, you're in the tower? I'm like, dude, I'm like fucking a million miles past that shit. I killed him in like fucking like 2 seconds. What are you talking about? And he's like, no, you're full of shit. Like, what difficulty are you playing on? I'm like, I don't know, just like normal, regular difficulty. He's like, I got that shit down to easy, and I've been doing it for like 8 hours and some shit, and I just can't do it. And I'm like, what the fuck are you like? And I'm just like trying to think. I'm like, and eventually I worked my way through. And since I set this up poorly, you probably can already assume he was not pausing. He was not pausing. And then I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, I don't want to do that. That's lame. And I'm like, well, that's how the game works. And then he just quit and never played it. He just quit and never played it ever again.
He didn't want to win.
It's fun. It's strategic. And what's cool about it is that when you set up your shit right, you can kind of like decide to, unlike say Pokemon, where you're just like A. You can be like, oh yeah, I did this, I got this. You can just let it play out and play in real, or you can play in real time and move people around if it's not that challenging. But when it's really challenging, you really need to like look around and slow. It's like you're in the Matrix and you slow it down, you turn the camera, you look at everything that's going on, you tell a guy to do a thing. Yeah. So anyway, some people don't do that, and she wasn't doing that either, and she made a tweet about it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, okay, at the off chance of sounding like an asshole and assuming you don't know something that you do you know about real-time pause? And then she like replied and was like, what's real-time pause? And I was like, oh no. So then I went over that whole spiel. So sure. I hope that's what she meant. If not, I wasted a whole lot of time on something she didn't mean. Dragon Age is a great game. People should play it. It's wonderful, but all these sequels are shit. And only Dragon Age Origins is good.
Jen liked Inquisition.
Oh God, it's like Inquisition is so fucking bad, and it's bad for the same reason that Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2 are bad. Fucking fight me in the street, you fucking plebes. You don't know what good writing is. Fucking fight me. They think these games have good writing. They are written, Inquisition included. They're written like the caliber of World of Warcraft quest text. There is so little emotion, feeling. It's like a fucking 11th grader that's trying to be like, there's a wolf in the cave. The wolf is bad because wolves are bad, and you have to kill the wolf because he ate somebody. Thanks. That's like what you get. And then people go on Twitter and they're like, oh my God, the story of Divinity Original Sin 2 is so good. And I literally want to fucking crawl into the internet and digitize myself and fucking appear out of their CD-ROM drive and just bash them in the face with a fucking bat until they understand how stupid they are, because these games are so bad and they are so clearly just people. It's like if someone came up to you and they were like, do you know what's a really great fighting game? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. And then you're just like,
yeah, but I'd have to hear that one out.
Okay.
I want to hear the argument.
It's a very lovable fighting game, but it's like people who don't play them don't understand that is, for those of you who don't know, it is one of the most broken, horribly made fighting games of all time. And that's why it's actually kind of amazing. Actually, It is amazing. But okay, so you know what? That's a horrible example, because that game is at least fun because it's so bad. These games are not. It's like, okay, no, better example. It's like a movie. Someone's like, oh man, what's your favorite movie? And then they're like, The Notebook or some shit. And you're just like, okay, your entire existence is irrelevant. Every opinion you've ever had is wrong. And anything you ever say to me from now until the dawn of time means nothing. And I reject your existence. That's basically how I feel when someone tells me that they like...
shun someone from life?
Yes. When they tell me they like Divinity Original Sin 2 and they think that it has a good... Okay, if they said they liked it for any other number of reasons, and then we're like, yeah, the story's shit. It's like World of Warcraft for me.
But it's fun.
The story's shit, but it's fun. And sometimes there are elements of the story that are good, but it's so bad. Dude, it's like it's written by a fucking middle schooler. It's so fucking bad. Anyway, that's Inquisition as well.
I'm so sorry. I'm so
sorry. Dragon Age Origins. It's the only good Dragon Age. Moving on. All right. So we have our next question is from Hylian at Hylian88, who sometimes touches the butt of Yamandu. And Hylian asks, oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, right?
This is a good one. How do I get in the mood to play single-player games when multiplayer games are so fun? I very much relate to this question. Do you? You play more single-player games than I do. Maybe not.
I try to, but I don't play as many single-player games as I'd like.
Is it because multiplayer games are fun? Like, is it because multiplayer games...
It's not a one-to-one. It's largely because of multiplayer games, but it's not because they're fun. Not to say that they aren't fun, but the fun doesn't factor into it. Okay. Let me backtrack. Let me show my work. Okay, so you can see I have a game back here. I'm not gonna in this glass cabinet. It's a collector's edition. It's called Raging Loop. It is a visual novel. It is a murder mystery. You're on an island. The people that are involved in this murder mystery have different like roles. So like the monkeys know who the monkeys are, and there's a snake that's killing people, and the dog and whatever. And so like not only do you have to figure out who done it and how done it, you also have to figure out like what role each of the characters is playing. This is my shit. This is so exciting to me. I've never been more rock hard talking about a visual novel than I have been for Raging Loop. And again, the viewers at home can't see. You certainly can't see. It's
your Raging Loop.
Raging Loop, yeah. Not it's still in the plastic wrap. I haven't unwrapped it. And that's for like two reasons. One, I'll have to actually commit time to playing it. I don't want to, put in 20 minutes at a time and get through this game by December. I want to sit down and like steamroll.
I'm pinning that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the other reason is I can get immediate gratification from hitting you up. I'll send you a message on Twitter and be like, SF4 question mark?
That's all.
That's like 4 characters.
That's all you have to say, baby.
Yeah.
That's all I need to get a raging loop on my end, man.
Yeah. And you're like, hell yeah. And like within minutes, we're playing Street Fighter, and every game of Street Fighter that we play is a little mystery that gets solved.
Yeah.
I should block more. I should press more buttons, and I learn, and that
Guile has a anti-cross up.
Guile can cross up
anti-cross up
super. Yeah, who fucking knew? And then you can confirm that into Ultra 2 and kill DiCaprio. Who knew?
Hell yeah!
You get that and that's why I play games. Any game, single player, multiplayer is for that eureka moment, that moment of understanding. Visual novels.
So wait, hold up, hang on that. That's why you play every game.
Every game.
Every game you play,
yep,
you're looking for a eureka moment that maybe isn't quite identical to, but is certainly in the same realm of the kind of eureka moment that you get from a fighting game.
Yes.
Wow.
And
we are not the same in that regard at all.
Probably
that's very interesting. I'll pin that as well.
So like on that specifically, the only exception is an exception that someone else might draw, but that I won't. I play music games, rhythm games, and I feel that achieving flow when you're in the zone and you're doing all the buttons.
That's why I play fighting games.
Everything perfectly.
That I want flow. I want to
achieving flow.
I want to achieve flow.
For me, flow scratches the same itch as a eureka moment, and I understand on a certain level that it doesn't, but it feels the same to me.
Okay. No, I mean that's that. I wasn't saying that that it wasn't possible for that to be the case. It was more just that I was surprised that was what you said. Because
I like having that moment of aha.
Yeah,
that's all I live for.
I do too, and it is quote unquote all I live for in some ways with regard to fighting games. But I don't play that way with all games that I play. And so where I think we'll go back to Hylian's question about how do I get in the mood to play single player games is your first pin, which you said like you don't want to nickel and dime it 20 minutes and finish it by December. That for me is the biggest thing. And I think the only reason I don't play more single player games at this point in my life, really the only reason is because I work a full-time job. And even as easy and cushy and bullshit as my job can be sometimes, it still isn't enough time for me to regularly get into the immersed mindset. And this will lead directly into the second thing, which is that, I really don't care about flow or solving single-player games at times. There are games that can hit both. I can care about solving them and be vested in the story, right? There are certainly games that will be in the middle ground. But there are a lot of games like, say Firewatch or whatever, that I really only care about the story. And to me, it's like reading a book or watching a movie, but it takes much longer, and it's a larger emotional and mental investment. It's an investment that I want to make, but to finish your point about the time frame, I enjoy it so much and respect it so much that I don't want to do it unless I have like a long weekend. I need and so like whenever the new like Skyrim, not Skyrim, new Elder Scrolls game comes out, I will take off at least like 3 days of work on a weekend and literally do nothing but play the new Elder Scrolls game like 16 hours a day, every single day. And that's how I've played through, every time I played through Pillars of Eternity, that's what I do. I'll play through on like Christmas break at work or spring break when I get time off and I have like a week off or more. I'm like, now I'm going to play. But like, so I think the answer to your question from my vantage point, Hylian, to finish this whole thing off from my point of view anyway, is that you get more money and work less so that you have more time.
To do things you actually enjoy.
So go ahead and let me know, Hylian, what your ideas are for changing all of American society to be such that we all make the same equivalent wage working 20 hours a week instead of 40 hours a week. Because that's the world I want to live in. Or even better, I want to not work at all and just be paid to
exist and play video games.
So anyway, those are my thoughts. But
For me, the eureka moment doesn't have to be like literally solving a mystery. It can be the emotional payoff because it's still a gaining of understanding that I didn't have before. To specifically answer Hylian's question, you got to just like not do anything except for play the game. And if you can't find a way to squirrel away the time for the game, you have to either find a way to squirrel away some time
or bookshelf it.
Yeah, just wait.
And I usually end up bookshelfing them. I usually do. Because there's something about like when I get home at 4:30 or 5, even though I have 5 hours at least before I go to bed, if not even longer most of the time, probably 7 usually or something. It's not enough time for me. Like, it's going to take me an hour or two to futz around and think about getting myself into the mindset of wanting to be immersed. Then I only have like 3 or 4 more hours to play it. And by the time I would get into that mode, I wouldn't want to go to bed and it'll fuck my whole routine up. So yeah, I need to, it's almost like a sacred ritual for me.
Yeah.
Playing like single player games where I really need to like get into that mindset to enjoy it. So yeah, man, I wish American society let us work less. Womp.
It could, it just doesn't.
Yep, you're not wrong. Thank you at Hylian88 for putting us into a depressing zone. It happens automatically. Next question is from at 666butts420. Still the best handle on Twitter. This is a person who sometimes touches the butt of Pharaoh. And she says, do you like my husband's mustache? / would you write it? Well, I don't like it. I feel like it's objectively a better mustache than my mustache was because, I mean, my facial hair is so bad. But I also...
Does he have a new mustache and I haven't seen it?
Oh, you haven't seen his mustache?
No.
Okay, hang on. Let me scroll up and... Oh, no, wait, you're in... Yeah, scroll up in Discord, in the Talking About Buttholes Discord.
Okay.
He's got a picture in there. It's not a bad mustache. It's just like, I just think of Pharaoh's face. And yeah, Lex is already laughing. He's already laughing.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you haven't?
I'm laughing. Okay. I just think of his face.
I think of his face, and I just don't think of a mustache having any place there. And when I see there being a mustache there, it doesn't change my thoughts at all. It just seems so out of place and wrong. So, did you see it finally? Do you agree or disagree? Yes. Yeah. What? His picture that he sent is amazing, though. It is an amazing picture. He's got a really goofy facial expression.
He looks.
But I don't think the mustache itself is bad. So if I'm making any sense, his mustache itself is less worse than me. But I feel like the way it looks on him, and maybe it's just because he's so hot already that the mustache. He doesn't need the mustache. He doesn't need it. Whereas my mustache was a bad mustache, but I feel like didn't look as bad on me, probably because I'm less hot or something. But like, there's something about like, it just seems less in place. But to be fair, he did tell me, I will throw him this bone. He did tell me it had only been like a week and a half, which is he's already gotten like a month's worth of my mustache growing in a week and a half.
Yeah.
So maybe in another like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe it'll actually be majestic. / would you write it? So, okay, does me writing a mustache as a guy mean that he's eating my ass? Or is he like eating my balls or my chode? Like, how do you ride? It's got to be in my ass, right? If I'm taking a mustache ride as a man or a femboy or whoever takes mustache rides, that's got to mean... Well, because a mustache ride is, normally you're getting eaten out by a guy who's got a mustache, right? So I think that means Pharaoh is eating my butt and
anilingus.
Yeah, anilingus, as it were, in this hypothetical scenario. And so I guess the answer is I'm not particularly into butt eating. I've experienced butt eating once or twice. And I didn't dislike it. It just kind of happened. I will say also that both times I was not questioned as to whether I was interested before it occurred.
They were just there.
It just happened.
You were having the mustache ride. Yeah.
The first time it was very surprising. The second time it was not that surprising. It's fine. I feel like oral sex in general is just the most overrated thing of all time of any fashion. And butt oral sex is just the same thing on that spectrum. Just any form of oral sex is just never as good, in my opinion, as any other form of sex. It just isn't. Like, I don't know. So anyway, I would, but it wouldn't be a go-to, is what I'm getting at.
Well, sure. Yeah, it wouldn't be my first choice. I'd if the question is just anilingus, I'm going to have to politely and respectfully decline.
So you're telling us you have never participated in anilingus of any kind?
I have not had my butt eaten.
And you've never eaten butts?
No, but like I'm okay with.
You're sure you're It's really not that great. I don't get it. I don't understand. Okay, if we can pause on penis questions for 5 seconds, because I do love them so much. I have been with basically every partner I've been with has always ended up liking butt stuff, even if they didn't right away. Okay, because it's the future, and you're just wrong if you think it's bad. But but I've only been with a handful of people who are like very like explicitly, specifically butt sensitive in a way that anilingus would even make any kind of remote sense. Like most people, if you like lick their butt or finger their butt or do any butt stuff, it's like hot and a turn on, but it's more like when you get up in there and also when you have other things going on, that all kind of comes together. But your tongue is like only like if you're licking a vagina, there's stuff in there. There's like a clitoris. There's things, you know, you find.
What?
I know. This is wild. I know. There's things in there. You find the things, you do the things, and you can do those things with your tongue. So like, okay, or vaginal oral is like the most sensible oral sex to me. Like it is the highest tier of oral sex that has a purpose. Like, because there are lots of good things you can do in there. And I understand that like way more than like oral on a dick. Oral on a butt has got to be like the lowest totem pole, unless you are like Sally sensitive sphincter, you know, like, because, which most people aren't, because if you're like a dude, your prostate is so far up your ass that unless it's like Gene Simmons eating out your butt, you're not getting any prostate stimulation from that fucking tongue. It's not happening. It's all surface level, which is, I guess, fine for a degree of foreplay, but for most people, it's just not going to do anything. Again, if you're Sally sensitive sphincter, then there are some people you just touch their butt a little bit, and that's like they just lose their minds. There are people like that. I have known them. Lex is dying. I have known that. So I think if you're one of those people, then, you know, anilingus, baby. Anilingus all the way. Anilingus all the way home. But I don't think, at least in my experience, most people, and I certainly don't, have a butt that is that sensitive, like at the surface level. That's not a thing. So Lex is so beyond his own existence right now. Lex's soul has left its body, and he can no longer function as a human on planet Earth. So anyway, that was a question. What are your thoughts, Lex? You want to round that up for me? You want to cap it off real nicely? Remember when I said Sally sensitive sphincter 3 times? Wasn't that a cool alliterative?
That was the part that got me. Yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like in order to participate in this conversation, I need to take like a personal like a sabbatical and do some soul searching before I'm able to properly weigh in on this.
Why is that? Why do you need to find your soul first?
Because it's gone.
Because it's gone. Oh no! All right. Well, there's a hidden secret third part of at 666 Butts 420's question series, and the third part is pee pee or poo poo. I don't understand the context of this, so I'm just going to take it at the most face value and just assume which one I want to have anything to do with, and it's definitely pee pee, because pee pee is more efficient. Yeah. It's more efficient. It's easier. Yeah. It's easier cleanup. Well, yeah, pee pee. If I could never poop again, I'd probably pick that.
That'd be convenient. Yeah, like Kim Jong-un.
I don't really. I forgot that was a thing. Yeah. Oh my god, that was a deep cut. Holy shit. I peeing is like satisfactory or satisfying. Excuse me. Satisfying. Yeah. when you pee and you got like a really long pee, it's almost like a little mini orgasm. If you really have to
weight
pee
off your shoulders
super bad, you're just like, yeah. I've had poops like that, but most poops on the average are not that. They're just they're inconvenient. You're trying to like play a video game and you're like, I gotta go take a dump, and then it's no good. It's no good.
And as we all know, there's basically no sensation there for you.
Not none. But not enough that anyone's tongue does anything particularly great. If they like it, maybe they get something. Maybe their tongue just really likes being in there. I mean,
and you're glad to
all
help,
right, fucking
right?
fine. Yeah, be my guest, I guess. But yeah, you know, let's just. Oh, Lex, you sweet summer flower. All right. Thank you at 666butts420 for that wonderful tangent you put me on. We now have a question from at LV40Raichu. And he asks, what is the best way to get better at fighting games? ? Team fighters more so. So take it away, Lex, because I don't know shit about team fighters.
Okay. So here's the horrible, boring answer that will definitely be able to give you. The only way to get better at fighting games is to practice and to play people.
There you go.
Yeah. That's the short, not easy answer. If you want like actual help with team fighters specifically, I got you, man. You've got to do a couple of things, and it's all about optimization. First, I don't know what controller you're using, but that is one of the most important things that you can do, is making sure that your controller is completely optimized, which is to say, for me, once upon a time, I had a 6-button controller, and I definitely have 5 fingers on my right hand. So that's just a whole bunch of... I just basically never used my pinky to play fighting games for years and years. When I made
on a stick. On a hitbox.
On a stick.
Yeah.
Well,
okay. Stick,
it was on a
hitbox,
stick.
arcade stick layout, whatever. Okay.
When I switched over to hitbox, I was like, I obviously need 8 buttons because I have, 4 fingers and a thumb. I can make plenty of use of this. And having those extra 2 buttons, like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 has ABC, launch, and then 2 assist buttons. That's 6 buttons. Having an extra 2 buttons meant that I could map weird macros.
I agree,
I could
and that's why I don't
things.
understand why people don't want 8. Because a lot of times people are like, well, I don't use them. I'm like, okay, well, 90% of the time I don't use 7 and 8 most of the time, but there are certain situations where it's super good. Case in point, Evil Ryu Ultra 2, reactionarily in Street Fighter 4, very awkward normally to hit triple kick because your hand is always resting on triple punch. But if you pinky the kick button, the macro, easy piece. So that's exactly the kind of stuff you're talking about. Yeah. You're not going to be hitting it all the time, but having that as an option is like, why wouldn't you? Yeah,
I do the same thing in your anime games with bursts. I have a dedicated burst button most of the time because if I don't have it cordoned off like that, then I probably don't think about it. I like to be able to have that as like my get out of jail free button, because then I don't have to worry about like what's the input for burst. I did the same thing with V trigger and V skill when I was playing Street Fighter V because I wanted a V trigger button so that I could think this is what I do when I want to do a V trigger.
See, I didn't use it in 5. That's interesting. I never used a macro in 5 for that. That's
another thing about optimization. If it doesn't work for you, then don't do that thing. Don't.
Yeah, don't force yourself too pointlessly. If it does, yeah. But specifically, what about like your training regimen? Like, do you think? I assume, which is one of the reasons I don't like them. I'm saying I know already, but that team fighters generally are labbier games than non-team fighter games.
Yeah. Since there's so many characters, there's a lot more interactions, and that's just on your side. Like if you look at all the different combinations and permutations of characters in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, exponentially greater than Street Fighter 5 or whatever. So yeah, if you want to learn all the ins and outs of your different characters and how they interact with the other characters on your team, that's a lot more lab work that you've got to do. There is an old rumor, once upon a time, Filipino champ said that he had found a secret training mode routine trick that made him godlike at fighting games. And half of everybody thought, he was just bullshitting because he's Filipino champ. And then half of everybody else was like, well, he must know he's so godlike. And, he kind of have a point there because he was just so much better at Marvel than everybody else.
For a while.
Yeah, people theorized that the secret training mode tech that he did was he would sit with somebody else in training mode and put them as the player 2 side, and they would play neutral. And when one of them got a clean hit that they could confirm, they would reset the training room and start the skirmish again. Because so much of the game is about neutral and figuring out how to get that clean hit.
Because when you get a hit in team fighters, you kill them.
You must get as much mileage out of it, and that's something that you can do on your own that you don't need other people for. It is grinding your combos and your like knockdown setups in training mode. You can do that by yourself.
So it's almost like he's using I'll use the example which is one of my favorite things of all time is why it's hard to breed elephants.
Why is it hard to breed elephants?
Because elephants have a very long gestation period.
Oh.
And you can only breed so many elephants per human life, right? Because it takes an elephant, I want to say it's like
13 months?
I think it's like 2 years. I think it's like 2 years of pregnancy or some shit. Maybe it's a little less. I don't know. But it's up there, dude. It's a lot. It takes a long time. And then they also take a very long time to then grow to sexual maturity, which means that you can't breed them. Whereas if you're breeding dogs have a very short gestation period and they reach sexual maturity very quickly, which means that one human can breed multiple generations of dogs in the same span of time. They could only breed one generation of an elephant, which means that you can literally artificially select and evolve dogs or foxes or things like that very quickly. This will make sense quick in a moment, I promise.
I'm excited to see how it connects.
I have to get one more thing out of the way, which is that there's this really cool experiment in Russia that these scientists did, and it's kind of horrible and animal abuse, but also amazing for the science that it is. They have all these, it's like a silver fox. It's like some sort of Arctic fox. And they started this thing at some point in like, I think it was like the 70s, where they were like, we're going to breed all these foxes together, and all of the like angriest foxes we're only going to let them fuck the other angry foxes, and all the happiest foxes we're only going to let fuck the other foxes. And within like, I think it was within like a year or two, they had basically bred and artificially selected and evolved two pretty much entirely, they weren't different species because the denominating line of what defines a different species is that they can or can't mate. So they were still capable of mating. So therefore they weren't technically a different species, but the nice ones were like the nicest dog you've ever met. And the meanest ones were like rabid wolves. And it was literally just from doing that in like a year or whatever amount of time. So how this relates and what Filipino Champ's training regimen is that he has dog gestation periods when he cuts the combos out of the game. The combos in the game are the elephant gestation period or any gestation period. He's basically deleting the gestation period from his reproductive breeding cycle, and he's breeding, quote unquote, better knowledge of fundamentals and neutral by basically just saying, I'm only going to play neutral, and as soon as neutral ends, I immediately go back to neutral. So that's very interesting in theory that you bring that up. It certainly is sound with how to maximize your time.
How to
in
maximize
a specific
your
area.
training time.
Yeah.
And like, you know, we said earlier, the boring, easy, not easy answers that the best way to get good is to just play people and like different people. But like, if you can figure out how to maximize your training time, if you got a buddy who will sit there and play neutral fighter with you, then do it. And make sure that like the combos. Will tell me that I'm privileged because I can do combos.
You are a combo savant, and you don't ever acknowledge it. Yes.
Yeah.
Can you actually tweet me a black and white video of you saying you accept responsibility for your for your combo privilege?
No, I will not do that. I will never fully acknowledge my privilege. You have to know your combos, and like that's not like it's not like something that you can work on or that you can get better at. You have to have a combo that you can do, and hopefully it kills people or does whatever the approximate of killing people is in the particular game that you're playing. You need to get the most mileage out of it, and that's just a fact. That is a fundamental block.
Well, you need a combo in your arsenal. So I think when you said it's not something you can improve on, you mean like assuming that's what you currently have, right? Because I mean, ideally you do want to improve on your combo game.
Yeah, ideally you don't drop your combo.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're trying to get better, grinding your combo for hours at a time, that's like getting to the bare minimum. A good use of your time is improving your neutral or making sure that you can get into the situation where you're capitalizing on the combo that you can already do.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you'll definitely see when you're newer, a disproportionately larger amount of your time will be focused on the also less useful act of just practicing combos because you're not familiar with combos. So when you're learning and you're fledgling, certainly one of the best things you can do early on is practice combos, but it's important to try to get yourself to a point where you are comfortable enough with those combos. And one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that a huge part of combos and comfort in landing them is how practical they are or aren't in a neutral setting. And that's one of the reasons I personally prefer games like Street Fighter to games like Marvel or Dragon Ball Z, is because there are more neutral interactions and your gestation period or your turn time, whatever you want to call it, is shorter. When you get that hit, it's a lot like Smash, where when you get a hit, your combo time, unless you're, using Palutena versus Ridley, your combo time, generally speaking, is not that long. And then you're immediately back to neutral, just like we were saying. So I think that's one of the reasons it's harder to get good at some of the team fight games, because there is such a harsher punish, a longer time outside of neutral. And in my opinion, team games disproportionately reward tech skill players, which is why Lex likes them. Because if you are inherently good at technical prowess, if that is your innate superpower, even though there is a lot of neutral in team games, and I'm not disparaging people and saying that there isn't, and blah, 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 but I always have to say this because some people get really butthurt. The emphasis
is different.
It is so much more weighted in that if you are the kind of player who really enjoys doing combos, then you're going to gravitate more towards team fight games. And if you're the kind of player that more enjoys neutral, you're going to gravitate more towards traditional fighters or whatever. And that's not to say there isn't overlap or that you can't play both or whatever, because there definitely is. But I think for my 2 cents on this, even though I'm not so much into Team Fighter specifically, but just generally getting better at fighting games, I think the best skill you can develop is the skill of teaching yourself. Because it's just like in the real world, where when you send someone to school and you like give them a test and it's multiple choice, and then they get all A's and like end up just doing poorly or something because the school system is stupid and multiple choice tests don't prepare you for anything or teach you how to think critically or teach you how to teach yourself how to learn. That's kind of like my entire outlook on fighting games. And to me, combos are a multiple choice test. It's really good to know how to do a combo, and it's really good to be good at that, right? But if you don't know why those are the answers, and all you know is that you can do that combo, you don't know how to apply it or when it's good
or how to get to
why it's useful. So it's the same kind of thing you're saying. You were basically saying that, but it seemed like your point was more so that you need to basically get good at neutral. I think the way you get good at neutral is by understanding interactions. And in my opinion, the best way to do that, and it is a real doozy, but the best thing is to watch replays of yourself losing. Because you will learn, so you will look at the shit you've done and just be like, why the hell? Immediately. It is amazing how much different
your own bad habits,
your outlook is as a spectator of yourself. It is amazing how much different that is. And it's really hard, not because it's actually hard. It's actually extremely easy, but it's hard because people just don't like doing it and they don't want to do it. But replays of yourself losing is, in my opinion, that's like one of the best things you can do. So those are my thoughts.
Record your casual sets. Yeah.
And your tournament sets if you can.
And if you can. And specifically on team fighters, you've got a team that is probably optimal, and it might be the one that you're playing. play the wrong team with the wrong assists. Swap out a character every once in a while. Yeah, because it'll give you some context on, like I said, there's so many different combinations and permutations. There's something in every game that everyone has overlooked. That's why I can do silly shit with Hulk Phoenix Wright in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and people are like, oh shit, that's an unblockable? It's like, yeah. Just no one's done it.
Experimenting is good. It's kind of like, if you don't really do anilingus that much, right? Like, it's good to... Okay.
Just when I thought I had my soul back. Thanks, Will.
Oh, man. All right. So, anyway, thank you at LV40 Raichu. I hope you do well in presumably Dragon Ball Fighters, I think is what he's trying to mess with.
Play Skullgirls.
Yeah, play Skullgirls. Play with Lex. Lex will teach you things. Next question is actually last questions are from A2 at LSX Andrew, who you can't follow because he is old and hides his Twitter because he's scared of the internet or something.
That's fair. Valid fear.
He asks, what is the best fighting game right now? What games are you both looking forward to in the near future, 1 to 2 years out? And these don't have to be fighting games. Shit, man.
God.
We have to qualify what is the best fighting game right now.
Are we talking about living fighting game or like fighting game that exists?
That's what I'm saying, and he's not here. Okay. So, but I'm gonna let's say living fighting games, because I don't know why he'd say right now otherwise. So I think games that are vaguely alive.
Did he say games? What is the best fighting game?
He said what's the best fighting game right now? What is the best fighting game right now? I have my answer.
Okay. Is your answer Grand Blue?
No.
Oh, interesting. Okay. The best fighting game out right now is Skullgirls. You'll learn things about yourself that you never knew were possible. There's a really unique interaction with bursts. The game is almost like not a parody, but like an in-joke. If you play fighting games, any kind of fighting game, Smash included, Skullgirls should make sense to you on some level. It doesn't necessarily appeal to everybody. You don't actually have to play Skullgirls, but if we're talking about like what has the most love and balance and like thought behind it and is the most fun, it's Skullgirls.
I think the best fighting game that is still alive is unquestionably Melee. And it is still alive. It is.
Yeah,
play the shit out of it.
It's not.
Unlike Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 3, and even Street Fighter 2, which really never dies per se, but it gets like every 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Every like 3 or 4 years, there's like a big Street Fighter 2 tournament, but it's really not constantly. Yeah. I mean, people are always kind of around playing it, but it's really not live in terms of like a tournament thing. And I'm not counting COVID because COVID's killed everything. So assuming COVID didn't come along, Smash Melee is unquestionably the longest running active what's the word I'm looking for? I keep wanting to say venerable, but that's not the right word. So I'm just going to say
it's got the most developed complex metagame.
It has that, but it also just has the most like, God, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm just going to say respect because I can't think of the word that I want, but it is the most respected game that is remotely as old as it is. I think the only game that is more respected than Melee overall is Street Fighter 2. And Street Fighter 2 is nowhere near as quote unquote alive as Melee still basically is.
Yes.
Or was before COVID, but again, we're not counting that. So I think it's Melee.
I will grant that what's it called? Melee has really developed meta that couldn't be possible in today's environment because of patch culture.
Yep.
And
Dude, Melee Yoshi is the best example of that of all time.
Yeah.
The character that everyone thought was trash until 2013, and then Amsa shows up and everyone's like, this is a high tier character.
Oh,
trash.
Shit. I guess trash high tier.
Trash for literally like 15 years or some shit, or 12 years. And then like suddenly everyone's like, no, he's actually really good. And no patches. Yeah. That gives me a raging spiral.
Raging loop.
Damn it.
Raging loop.
That gives me a raging loop. That is everything I want. It's just to be like, look at that. If you just get good and shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Look what can happen.
Then anything's possible.
Look what can happen.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2 has that same thing to it. Where people do still find things every day, like they just found a Mega Man Infinite, Rockman Infinite, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It's a dead game, which is why it doesn't qualify. But that's the only game that I can think of that's similar to Melee in terms of like having such a complex, developed flavor to it.
But it's dead, so it's totally different.
It is dead. It does not count.
Yeah, Melee is a wonder of the world, in my opinion, even though it's not my main game. I don't know how you can't respect it. What games are you both looking forward to in the near future? These don't have to be fighting games.
Resident Evil 8. The Bravely... Okay, do you know Bravely Default?
I don't.
In the same sense that Skullgirls is an in-joke for people who play fighting games, Bravely Default is an in-joke for people who play SNES era RPGs, JRPGs.
Okay.
So it's Bravely Default, and then Bravely Second was the sequel. Now we've got Bravely Default 2 coming out, and that I'm looking forward to. That'll be
all right.
Amazing. Oh, and Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Hot damn, almost forgot it. Fucking love that game.
I am looking forward to, I would say the only big game on my radar right now that I know exists and is a thing that I'm looking forward to is the new Elder Scrolls. I don't know when that'll come out, but I'm going to lose my damn mind. Sure. Games that I hope are a thing, but don't know. I would love so much. I would murder a human to get Pillars of Eternity 3, but I think it just might not happen. Be. Yeah. I would literally murder.
You'll get it the same day I get Mega Man Legends 3 and the Dino Crisis reboot.
It might not be a thing because the second one did not sell as well as they hoped it would based on the kickstarting and extra budgety for things. And I mean, it was like well enough that it wasn't like a failure, but it wasn't like, I don't think enough of a success like the first one was to warrant. So we'll see. That's really the only one though. The new Elder Scrolls. I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. I would love games that again don't exist. I would love a new Street Fighter game that isn't Street Fighter 5. I would.
Street Fighter 6 should be good though.
But well, it should be. But they just announced a new fucking expansion pack for 5. Yeah, so it's gonna be another.
It'll take another 2 years,
3 years or some shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would love Street Fighter 6 to exist and not be terrible. So. And then the last follow-up here from A2 is random speculation. Will Nintendo buff Ganondorf between now and when the DLC is complete on 12/31/2021? If so, will he get anything meaningful? Alternatively, do you think the number of buffs and nerfs across all characters will be kept to a minimum? So instead of alternatively, I'm just going to answer both of those. Will Nintendo buff Ganondorf between now and when the DLC is complete? I feel like it's almost a guarantee that they will give him an irrelevant tiny buff at some point.
Yep, he'll make his stand fierce force stand on crouching opponents, but it'll whiff
the
like
DJ's
stand hard punch.
Yeah, I feel like there's no way if you're saying between now and December of 2021, I would be shocked if he got literally nothing. But I would also be shocked if anything they gave him was remotely meaningful at the same time. Like, I feel like they'll give him like forward smash will be like 2 frames less unsafe or some like totally irrelevant bullshit.
Like, who gives a shit, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay. Like, they'll it'll be something like that. Or like maybe that dash attack pushback collision problem. Maybe they'll fix that at some point. It'll be little dumb shit like that. They are terrified to give him any buffs.
They don't want him to succeed.
Yeah, they don't want him to be good. They're terrified. But I could be wrong because I thought they thought the same thing about Ridley, and they gave. I would love if Ganon got exactly what Ridley got in Ultimate.
4 jumps.
No. They gave Ridley some buffs though at a certain point. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
They were all like very solid quality of life. And mini little buffs, and they weren't anything crazy, and he's still not quote unquote good, but he's actually like a pretty solid, fine mid-ish tier character now. I would love for Ganon to get something like that, but I don't think he'll get it. Alternatively, do you think the number of buffs and nerfs across all characters will be kept to a minimum over that time frame?
Can I say that one? No. Because of patch culture and because of Nintendo's knee-jerk reactions to people screaming on the internet. I think that maybe over time you could say that the buffs and nerfs will have about the same impact. just because there's going to be so fucking many of them and it'll bounce up and down. That's my
So
pessimistic.
It's interesting that you say that, because I feel like for the most part, they really haven't patched Ultimate that much up to this point. There have been a few characters that have, we had significant Joker nerfs. We had, and even, I don't even know if significant is right, but relevant Joker nerfs.
Significant.
But I would say significant Ridley buffs, significant Young Link buffs for whatever fucking reason, which is the least deserved buffs of all time. Like that patch where Young Link got like 1 million little buffs when he was already a high tier character is the dumbest. That is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. And I don't mean that to say that it is the worst buff or stupidest decision, but it is like I don't know how any human could sit down and look at Smash Ultimate and look at the entire cast and think, you know what this game needs? Young Link buffs. It is such a... It'd be
shame.
Like... It doesn't make any sense. It'd be like if you looked at like... I don't know, like late game Street Fighter 4, like Abel. And we're just like, Abel needs a lot of buffs. And you're like, well, Abel, he wasn't top tier.
He's pretty good.
But he was like a high tier character that was very good. And why the fuck did you give him, of all people, all these buffs? I don't get it. It just made no sense. It was so stupid. And it just seemed so out of touch to me.
Yeah. Who did you talk to make this? Who complained?
I did feel better about the Joker buffs, though. They knew what to do with the Joker nerfs. I still think he deserves more. That character's still stupid as fuck. But the down guns, that was like they at least.
Made me sad.
No, that was so stupid. That was the dumbest fucking thing. No, that is some fucking. You just invalidated disadvantage 24/7 with no repercussion. It was so stupid. Awesome. No, it's not. So anyway, they've done good and bad things with Ultimate. I don't think anything they've done with Ultimate patches so far has been particularly wave-making.
Egregious?
Yeah, whether on the positive or the negative side. Probably the biggest thing they ever did was the Pichu nerfs. And I think those were 100%
deserved,
because fuck that character. And how
you just don't want him to be good. Yeah.
He shouldn't be good. No. He should not. He just shouldn't be good. I don't mind fighting Pikachu, but fighting Pichu is just so... It's just dumb. Because Ultimate is already a game, which I like overall for the game. It's already a game where you can just randomly explode someone and kill them. But then you have a character that like low profile shit automatically that you can't hit, who can kill you at like 5% from some... it's just... Yeah, he's like... He's like the far end of Ultimate's worst nightmare down that road. You know what I mean? Like embodied into a character. Like, yeah, fuck Peach.
Little did you know that one of your biggest problems with Smash Ultimate was going to be Elena from Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, fuck shitty hurt boxes and hitboxes, dude. Fuck any fucking... God, yeah, I hate that shit, dude. Like, let's make this one character who inexplicably just should avoid. They just avoid it for no reason because they're weird. Like, why? Why do they always make a character like that? I don't need everyone to be the same exact character size. Like, that's boring. But there should be like archetypes. Do you know what I mean?
It should be. You shouldn't have to worry about something not working anymore.
If a game, yeah, exactly. If a game has like 40 characters in it, like Street Fighter 4, if it has like 40 or so characters in it, there should be no more than like 5 different kinds of like bodies.
Yeah,
that's
big boys, little boys, medium boys, wide boys, and thin boys. That's it. That's all you need.
There's no, but like Ultimate is so weird with that, especially the rats Pichu and Pikachu. Like there's so many of their moves just randomly squash them and whiff, or like fucking God, just like being able to like crawl under certain attacks or whatever is just it's dumb. I mean, okay, let me put it this way.
Some of it's cool, yeah.
There's attacks, where crawling I think sometimes is cool. Where if it's a projectile and you can crawl under it, to me that's like a cool interaction. But if you're like
crawling under their down tilt,
yeah, you crawl under a move that's clearly meant to hit like on the ground and somehow it whiffs because of crawl. That is the stupidest shit of all time.
Ooh, sorry, I low profiled your Ganon forward smash. So.
Yeah, or F tilt for Ganon is one that can do that. Yeah, I hate that shit. So anyway, we're coming up on a pretty long time for this one, so I think we'll finish her off here. Yeah, but that was advice column / Dear Abby, but mostly just a Q&A. Fun times.
Right, and that's good. I like answering questions.
I'm glad that we have enough people to talk for an hour and a half about things that they ask us. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for asking.
Thanks for supporting us.
We appreciate it.
All right, well, we will catch you guys on the flip side. I've been Metal Music Man.
And I've been Professor Lex.
And we'll see you later. Goodbye.